Play. And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Okay. First things first, I do apologize for the lack of an episode last week. If anybody's still subscribed to this, I have not checked the subscriber numbers, but you guys are in the dozens. There's literally dozens. That's about it. I just got busy and then I forgot. And then it got to be Monday and I said, let's do it Monday. Then I didn't do it. And I said, you know what? Just skip a week. And here we are refreshed with 5+ more stories than I intended to do. Still have the same stories from last week because nothing usually happens on the week before Thanksgiving. Nothing happens Thanksgiving week. I could have skipped 2 weeks. Could have saved up these stories and could have done this episode on Monday, put it out on Thanksgiving Day. But here we are. Next week, you'll get the interview I did with Spanish Hockey Presents. Wonderful interview. Super long, 45 minutes. I'll trim it down to 43 minutes because there's some stuff at the top and some stuff at the end. What's going on in my life? Well, I'm looking at one of them. I got a cat. Her name is Nova. She's sleeping on the couch over there. Bless you. She just sneezed. She's adorable. She's also a turd. For a couple of days, she was just very quiet and lethargic and was unlike her. And then, this morning she wakes up and she wants to run around and scratch on the bed frame. Which, yeah, I understand I have to get a new bed frame. But I can't afford that. I just got a cat. Here we are. So let's hop right into this. Let's go into these stories. And also, I got this. Somebody was giving away this giant bookcase in the apartment complex. And they just said it was a bookcase. I said, all right, great. I'll pick it up. I go to pick it up. It's like this, and I'm looking at it right now. It's on this wall, and it pushed over my desk, which means the microphone's pushed over, which means I'm over here contorting like a pretzel for the next hour. By the way, this is going to be a long episode because I have not done an episode in 2 weeks. Episode 184. This is what it is. I'm looking at. So he gives me this long, just nice, sturdy bookcase, and it looks new. Like they took such good care of it. And I have all my camera equipment on it now, which is great, but it takes up so much room. And it's a horizontal one. You can't put it vertical because the way that the shelves are, it just wouldn't make sense. It's also insane to do that. But I'm thankful I have it. It's very nice, very solid, and it really cleaned up my dining room nicely. My dining room office. My dining room office. All right, that's the title of this episode. Sometimes you got to come up with the titles right on the spot. Here, first story comes from CBS. It's about CBS. It comes from The Wrap, written by Tim Basinger. I wonder if he's related to Kim Basinger. The names are not spelled the same. CBS pledges to make at least half of reality show contestants non-white starting next season. So that's 50% of people who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color. We call them BIPOC now. A new term that was made up in the past couple of months, and people just accepted it. What happened to coloreds? I'm kidding. Don't say that. This is going to start for the 21-22 season, the 2021-2022 season. The reality TV genre, this comes from George Cheeks, CBS Entertainment's president and CEO. The reality TV genre is an area that's especially underrepresented and needs to be more inclusive across development, casting, production, and all phases of storytelling. As we strive to improve all of these creative aspects, the commitments announced today are important first steps in sourcing new voices to create content and further expanding the diversity in our unscripted programming, as well as our capital N network. The announcements come as CBS's reality series, most notably Survivor, has been criticized for its lack of diversity. Okay, so I'll get to that last part in a second. I just started watching Survivor within the past couple of months, and I watched Big Brother this past season. Although I did not watch the finale because it just became white people picking on the black people and the other coloreds, and and the Amazing Race. And I haven't seen a lot of seasons of Survivor. I've only seen I go. First of all, if you're going to watch Survivor, this is what I suggest you do. Go to Google or whatever search engine you use and go to incognito mode. So this does not show up in your history, your cookies, so you don't get stories suggested to you and that ruin the seasons and stuff. And then Google the best seasons of Survivor, and then, or Amazing Race, whatever you're going to watch. And make sure the lists do not say the winners. Make sure they barely even say people's names. Just look at the title of the season. Season 28, Kyagan. Season, 21, Heroes versus Villains. Also, that's one of the worst seasons. Don't watch that. That's on like all the top 5 lists. Heroes versus Villains, horrible season. It just made me hate the game of Survivor. 28, truly the best season of any reality television show I've ever seen. Season 28 of Survivor, wonderful. And then season, I think like 31, they had like 4 or 5 of the people from that season from 28 come back. I think it's like Survivor Redemption or something like that, or Second Chance. And that was a pretty decent season. But Heroes versus Villains, truly. There's also a season that is whites versus blacks. No, I think it's just white people. Yeah, I think it's whites versus blacks. And I would like to watch it because I think that's insane. It was a race war. It was a Survivor race war. And I can't believe it's one of the early seasons. I cannot believe that they had the chutzpah to do that. Do it now. I think that's hilarious. Any Hoosers. But upon watching Big Brother, this is my first season. I know I've mentioned this before, at least maybe on this show, but definitely on on News Time, the premiere show from youtube.com/HuffPost where I made an offhanded joke about Big Brother and how the committee is, basically like this white supremacist, and they're all racist, and I dislike all of them except for Tyler. Tyler's, I like him the most, but everybody else, horrible people. Whereas like 6 white people that were teaming up, and literally, if you watch from at least episode 3 on, they're picking off the people of color, and it's only when the people of color fight back by winning veto rounds and they can and they veto their own livelihoods. It's insane, and these people are not good people. The people in the committee. It's just ridiculous that they were able to do that, and what's worse is the fans would go, "Oh, it's not racist. They're just not playing the game right. The black people aren't playing the game right. The Asian people, the gay guys, not playing the game right." And it's crazy that you even think that. I mean, that like they don't see that. They don't see that at all. Even after like this season, it was made during the pandemic. It was made after Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and a litany of people of color were just killed, and it's a shame that fans don't see that. CBS apparently sees it, but it's a shame that producers didn't see that. That no one spoke up and said, "Hey, this is kind of racist, man. These 6 white people are picking off the people of color, the darkies." Say it just like that. Oh, God, the clock just hit 9:11. Let me take some time. That wasn't funny. So in July, CBS said that 25% of its script development budget were going to focus on people of color shows beginning for next season as well. So I know I've already spoken about that. Here we go. Moving on. iHeartMedia and Malcolm Gladwell team on more podcasts. This comes from The Verge, written by Ashley Karaman. Malcolm Gladwell is going to be working with his Pushkin Industries, his podcasting company, And they have a 2-year partnership with iHeart that's going to be selling ads for them. So this is good for multiple reasons. For both sides. Malcolm Gladwell is a big name, and iHeartMedia is probably one of the biggest names in podcasting, maybe even radio. I recently was talked to about something at a new not podcast company, but like at a company that did purchase 2 podcasting not distributors, producers. Yeah. A radio giant recently purchased 2 podcasting companies, and they're looking to expand. And somebody that works there that I know reached out and was like, hey, maybe there's something coming down the pipeline within the next year. You interested? And I said, yeah, I'm interested. So this is a good deal for Malcolm Gladwell. I know iHeartMedia had the Culture Kings, and I know that they were not particularly fond of the managing style of iHeart. So I wonder what is the cat has her paw over her face and ear and she's sleeping as if I'm bothering her, as if me being home during the day on a Friday is bothering her. But I do wonder if iHeart is as big as it seems to be in this podcasting space. Because you do have Spotify buying up, Gimlet and other podcasting companies, and then you have the radio giant, like I just mentioned, and they picked up 2 of the biggest podcasting companies, which is, Cadence Media and Pineapple Street Studios, Cadence 13 and Pineapple Street. I think that's what it's called. Entercom is the company that the person works for. I just get it all out there. No one listens to this show. It's only a couple dozen people. And so the company that I work for, my full-time job is they own Scripps owns us, and Scripps for the year and change that I am here at this job, they owned before a couple of months ago. Scripps sold off Earwolf, so Scripps was in that podcasting space. They sold off Stitcher. Stitcher owns Earwolf now, but whatever. So, I don't know. I don't know if podcasting is as lucrative as people think it is. You do have the big players, but only they see the money. There's no real trickle down, and not even for the people who have been doing it for 16 years, such as Jimmy Pardo at Never Not Funny. Either you have a Patreon that's super successful, like the Chapo Trap House. I don't know what it's called. The Chapo Trap House. Chapo Trap House. I think that's what it's called. And Doughboys, or you have a giant company backing you and you have nothing to worry about, or you're on your own. And and by giant company, I mean you just have a company, period. I'm sure the podcasts over at HeadGum, aren't killing it. I mean, I'm sure they're killing it for their terms, but they're not killing it for, compared to Dax Shepard. Listen, let's take a break, the first of many. When we come back, we will have more show to talk about. Oh no, my iPad won't recognize my face. Here we go. Going to break right now. 3, 2, 1, and we're back. Let's see if I can raise this microphone arm. I should get one of those desk microphone arms, but also I don't want to, because this stage mic holder does everything I need it to. Okay, we're back in this show. Let's see. I told you about the cat. Oh, let me restart this thing. Okay, I told you about the cat. Oh, Jesus. I told you about the cat. I told you about the, whatchamacallit. I got a new coffee table, which is nice. Actually, I got a coffee table like a month ago. I bought some toys for the cat. She promptly hid one of them, and she hid another thing, and I don't know where they are. And there's not a lot of hiding spaces in here in my apartment, so yeah. What else has been going on in my life? Not much. Truly not much. Oh, yes, I'm at home on a Friday during the week. This is my second off day this week. Our PTO days don't roll over, which is insane, ridiculous, especially given that they're not giving us a bonus this year or a raise, or they're not giving us a raise this year, rather. I wish I would, this is going to sound so petty, but I'm one of 6 people out of 200 people or 180 so people in the Atlanta offices of our company. I'm one of 6 that still has to come in. And 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7. I'm one of 7 that still has to come in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter at all. And it's good. Still have a job. Very happy that I have that, and so I can afford this place and food and stuff. But it really is wearing on me. Still going to the office, and people are still at home, and they're doing half of their job. And I talk to this about to my therapist all the time, and I talk about this to people anyone who will listen. And throughout the summer, the people working from home were making these giant mistakes, which was bleeding over to, if they were making mistakes, then everybody was making a mistake. And by everybody making a mistake, I mean like our supervisor was blaming everybody for everything. And then it basically got to me, and they're like, well, what are you doing wrong? And I'm like, I'm doing my job. I'm coming to the office. I'm doing literally everything that I've been doing since the day I got here, April 2019. And I proved it. I proved it at least 2 different times. And so that shuts them up. But this week, I'm basically filling out my PTO for the rest of the year. So I'm basically not working full weeks until January, like early January. And you have to write down a note, like when you put your PTO down in the computer in Workday, you have the option to put down a note and comment and say why you're doing this. And one of them, I said, I was just very irritated that I had to do this. And yes, I'm irritated that I have to stay home, but I'm like, I don't want to sit at home and not do anything. I want to do something. I'd rather go to work than sit at home, because I'm tempted here. There's movies and games and sleeping and stuff. And when at the office, I could watch YouTube, but also do some work. But in the comments sections of one of them, I wrote, people who come into the office should be allowed to roll over 50% of the hours. And it was just like a very frustrated thing. And I sent it through, and it got approved. Of course, obviously it got approved. But I wonder if my supervisor read that and can hear these, just the stress in that message. Yeah. Anyway, that's another thing. That's another 3-minute story that you'll never get back. Let's move on. Apple is cutting the app's development prices for smaller devs, and I wrote that horribly in the Notion page, but whatever. This comes from New York Times, written by Jack Nikes. Apple facing growing antitrust scrutiny over what it charges other companies for access to its app store, said on Wednesday that it would cut in half the fee to stock from the fee it took from the smallest app developers. So usually Apple would take 30% of your sales. Now they're going to take half of that commission. So it's 15% in lieu of 30%. What happens is if you sell an app on the Apple App Store, if you sell in-app purchases, then you get let's say you get $100 for $10 sales or something like that. Excuse me, $101 sales. Nobody's going to pay $10 for an app, even though I have done that multiple times. And this is true for both Google and Apple's App Store. And they would take $30 from that $100, and you get $70. it's a lot of money just to be able, you're able to say, hey, my app is on the Apple App Store and it's in the most popular place and everybody can get it. Which, yes, great, but that's a lot of money. And that's for big devs and small devs, and this was a problem. There's an episode of News Time I did about Epic Games taking on Apple and Google, and it's a good episode. Check it out. But this is that was the crux of the story. Like, they didn't want to pay that 30% tax. But now this is moving in the right direction, especially for a company that has literally billions of dollars, probably $1 trillion. But this makes them seem like the quote unquote good guy when people have been fighting this for literal years. So Tim Sweeney is the Epic Games chief executive, and he's the one that was leading the charge on this. Oh, and also one of the problems that Epic Games faced with that was that there's the stuff that they put like in Fortnite for buying stuff on Fortnite, inside Fortnite on the App Store, prices were inflated. So what they said was, hey, don't buy stuff in the App Store. Just come to Epic Games to Fortnite.com and we'll be able. I wonder if they own Fortnite.com. I should have bought Fortnite.com 5 years ago. How much money would I have? I'd probably have I probably would have said, hey, give me $10. No, give me $10. Give me 2% of sales. I would have had that. And then, you know what? No cash, 2% of sales. 5 years later, oh my God. You know how much money? That'd probably be $10,000. What's 2% of sales? No, I'd probably be a couple $100,000. I'm not good at math. Maybe even $1 million. How much money has Fortnite grossed? Let's get back to the topic at hand. Apple introduced its 30% commission in 2008 with its App Store, which had just had 500 offerings then. Wow. Now it facilitates $500 billion in sales. And that was in 2019. 2020, people were at home. People buying, video editing apps, and LumaFusion is $30. Who wants to edit a video on their iPad? It's enticing, but I'm not going to do that. You got Premiere right there. Yeah, it costs $53 a month. And when that hits my credit card. But you know what? I'm forcing myself to use every single Adobe app in there. It's true, I am. I really am. I have Illustrator downloaded on this thing. Do I need it? No. Am I going to learn? Hell yeah. Oh God. Okay, so hopefully Apple is going. I mean, there's a difference between being greedy and then just being, being a dick. It just doesn't. I understand this is another source of revenue, but Apple has their hands in a lot of pockets. And I just did this week's episode of News Time is about Apple TV Plus, and it was a very positive. Like, I don't review things anymore, but it was I essentially gave it a very positive review because I like it. Also, Apple TV Plus now has an Xbox and PlayStation app. So it's on both of those consoles, which I'm excited for. But I'm still waiting on an Android app. If we have Apple Music on Android and Chromecast and all this stuff, is it on Chromecast with Google TV? I don't know. Spotify is. SiriusXM is. Pandora is. And I have them all three on I also have a Chromecast with Google TV. Very wonderful device. Oh, so good. But I just need Apple TV Plus. And then I'll be set. I mean, they extended the free trial, and I'm not going to pay $5 for it, but they extended the free trial. And so now I can finally watch it on TV instead of hunched over on my iPad, or hunched over in front of the computer for the web version. All right. This is a story of a girl. This is the final thing for this segment. Then we'll move on. ESPN shuts down esports coverage division days after layoff spree. This comes from the Wrap written by Samson Amore. The sports network recently cut about 500 jobs. So 500 jobs across the company have been let go. The esports section started in 2016 and on the website, and ESPN, the chair I'm sitting in right now just lowered itself by itself. And I think it's because I've been moving around so much, but it lowered itself to where I'm basically parallel now with the ground. Okay. Watch the video. You'll see a nice 3:00 Chad. Had a long day. So it started in 2016, and this was supposed to be, and I think I'm putting this in a more dramatic term, but a saving grace for ESPN. You know, they started doing video game coverage on the not on the website, on the networks, and people like it. You know, it's people watch drone racing and Street Fighter Championships on TBS, and like TBS did that for a couple of years before ESPN, and so the ESPN picked up some of that stuff, and it seemed to do well. And then, you know, they do different things like before the NBA bubble started, they had, you know, tournaments on there with a couple of the players playing NBA 2K games, the latest one, and so I mean, it makes sense. Like people, there's a strong chance that if you watch ESPN, you like video games, whether it be Red Dead Redemption 2 or Madden 21. You're probably a fan of video games, but them cutting these jobs does not bode well, because I mean, obviously Disney is a greedy. Speaking of greedy giants, Disney is cutting up jobs left and right. And so this is probably the place where Disney said, we need to make some money. ESPN.com, what could we lose there that has no giant effect on our bottom line? And it's probably esports, because they can get that coverage anywhere else. Whereas for ESPN, they're the leading name for regular sports coverage. No one's going to go, like, I mean, obviously Bleacher Report is great. It's a great company. But no one's going to wake up and go, I got to check, you know, Bleacher Report for the scores to the Dallas game. Dallas is doing horrible this year, by the way, so I've stopped watching football. Also for personal reasons, because they don't like black people. So the esports division was, quote, unable to achieve the reach or scale to break through or make a meaningful impact on the industry, says sources close to the deal. The network is instead diverting resources elsewhere, though it will continue to cover live esports events. It secured rights to several upcoming gaming competitions, including NBA 2K, Madden, V10 R League, what the hell is that? And virtual racing competition F1 Esports. With the closing of ESPN Esports, this is going to bolster what I've said earlier. Gamers lose the largest and most mainstream source of sports coverage. There are other outlets covering the space, including the Esports Observer, esports.com, or Esports Insider, but all operate with less resources and reach than ESPN's outfit did. Wow. That is, that's bad. That's very bad. It's worse than I thought it was going to be. So some people are apparently still contracted or employed until early January, but after that, there's nothing. Yeah, you don't. I mean, even Bob Ley, Ley, he blasts ESPN for the mass layoffs, because all they care about is money versus, you know, coverage of actual sports. And there's I urge you to check out the other articles that are talking about this, because they'll get more in depth about it. But just as a baseline, that's what we want to get at. Listen, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the last 3 stories I have, and also my interview with Spanish Hockey Presents. Here we go. Let's go. And we're back. Here's Chatty. I skip the rest of the theme song because I don't think I know it. That's the Tonight Show for people who don't know the Tonight Show. You can watch select episodes and best of clips on NBC's Peacock streaming service, which I think is wonderful. You know, I was on Hulu last night, in fact, and they had a splash screen up on the front page, or excuse me, they had a banner ad for one of their latest shows, Trollstopia. That's a DreamWorks property based on the movie Trolls, and I went out loud. Wow, Trolls is on Hulu now? The Trolls, there's a new Troll show on Hulu? And then I immediately thought, well, how many episodes of Trolls The Beat Goes On is on Netflix? Looked it up on Wikipedia, 52 episodes, which means they've reached syndication numbers and they have ended their deal. DreamWorks has ended their deal with Netflix. The deal was a multi-year deal that they extended, I want to say, in 2015. So that they... No, in like 3 years ago. So they had at least a 7 to 8 year deal, I think, or 5 to 6 year deal, between 5 and 8 years of a deal with Netflix to make shows for Netflix that were new or based on properties and stuff. And then, 2018, DreamWorks announces that they're going to do a prequel series to Madagascar for kids. And then that came out. I think it's Madagascar for Kids. I think that's what it's called. And but now that's on Hulu. The chair just lowered itself again. That's on Hulu and Peacock. So it's a shared show on those two things. And then Trollstopia, I think, is on Hulu and Peacock as well. So they ended that deal. Interesting, because Kipo and the Wonder Beasts, I believe that just ended. Voltron ended. She-Ra's coming to an end when that airs. She-Ra ended. There's another show on Netflix that is coming to an end that DreamWorks produces. Anyway, all the DreamWorks shows are now on Hulu and Peacock instead. I wonder. And what's interesting is that the Dragon Riders of Berk that's on Netflix, that ended a couple of years ago. But the reason why I mentioned the syndication numbers for Trolls The Beat Goes On is that DreamWorks is the only distributor that works with Netflix that takes its shows off of not takes it off the platform, but airs them on its own network, Universal Kids, which is under a different name at some point, or Discovery Kids, I believe. But now it's Universal Kids, which just astounds me because they take Dragons, Riders of Berk, and the other Dragon series, and they air those on Universal for Kids, which is a network on cable. And they air that. I assume they're going to air Trolls The Beat Goes On, and then Trollstopia. I assume, once you get to syndication, used to be a big thing. Well, it still is a big thing because when a show like Big Bang Theory reaches 100 episodes, you're able to take it to different networks, and networks will pay a certain amount of money so they can air those first 100 episodes or so. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Trollstopia is a new show, and now it's on Hulu and Peacock instead of Netflix. I wonder if that still allows them to air the show outside that. We're about to take another break after this because that was way too long. That was 5 minutes of me just jabbering. Speaking of cable, ViacomCBS, this comes from Variety, written by Elaine Lowe, is going to shutter its niche streaming services to focus on Paramount Plus. So Paramount Plus is coming within the next few months. replacing CBS All Access. It'll be the same platform, just replacing the name. And I'm sorry, there's a very beautiful Variety commentator that is talking about ViacomCBS report for Q3. She distracted me. I was going to say it. They have these autoplay videos. So what they're going to do is ViacomCBS has these very niche services that you can get on platforms like Apple TV Plus as an add-on channel, or Amazon Prime channels, video channels, or by themselves, like MTV Hits and Nick Hits and Comedy Central Now. What else? And probably that BET Plus one. I think that's what it's called. And they're gonna focus their efforts on two things. The pay for Paramount Plus, CBS All Access, which is going to become Paramount Plus, which I just think they keep it at CBS All Access, because I think CBS All Access is more synonymous with viewers than Paramount Plus. I think CBS, CBS. Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense, but whatever. So what was I getting at? Oh, okay. So they're going to focus on two things: Paramount Plus and Pluto TV. Pluto's free, doesn't cost a thing, and they're building on that time and time again. The company, which is coming up in its first year anniversary of a merger between Viacom and CBS, it's going to sunset. Oh my God, I have a sneeze coming on. It's going to sunset these services. While it did not confirm which of the smaller ones are going to be, absorbed into Paramount Plus, you can assume that, Nick Hits, Comedy Central Now, the other ones are going to. Let's see. Kid-friendly Noggin, which has at least 2.5 million subscribers to its name, is not going to be shuttered, according to a ViacomCBS spokesperson. So they're really trying to set the stage for this one thing, which is smart. But we'll see how this plays out for them. I still think CBS is a better name. This next one comes from the Wall Street Journal, because remember, I'm a subscriber right now. Written by Joe Flint. TV targeted ads headed soon to network TV. So this is the thing I'm afraid of if I ever get like a smart TV. Yeah, and yes, I have a Google ecosystem. I have multiple Google Homes throughout the house. I understand that. I get it. They know all of my information. I don't want to watch TV and then I'm watching a rerun of Friends and then they show me ads for HBO Max. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. But everything else I'm fine with. That's why I don't want a smart TV. I tell people to avoid smart TVs. Just get a Roku, Fire TV, stick, or Apple TV or a Chromecast. You don't need a smart TV. Also, and I've had my TV for 6 or 7 years now. It's wonderful, 1080p. It does what I need to do. But it still turns on as fast as it did the day I got it. When you have one of these WebOS TVs like LG and Samsung and Sony and all these things and Vizio, they have, just like any computer, it has like RAM, and it's going to eventually, that RAM is going to get full and you can't access the same amount of RAM that you had on day one when you on day 5,000. So I'd rather have the thing I have. So there's going to be ads, maybe, possibly, coming into your television. Nielsen, the nation's leading TV ratings firm, on Tuesday said it would start measuring such targeted advertising on a national basis next year. The lack of a national measurement system for such ads has been a hurdle for brands and networks. The new system will mark a fundamental shift in how Nielsen tabulates commercial viewership. Instead of calculating an average audience for all ads in a program in its current practice, it will measure each ad individually, which is necessary for targeted advertising to work. The move is expected to boost the value of TV commercials, which has been under pressure as broadcast and cable networks, excuse me, have been losing viewers to streaming services and brands have flocked to digital advertising. Nielsen said it was teaming up with AT&T's DirecTV and Dish Network Corp, two of the nation's largest pay TV distributors, and smart TV manufacturer Vizio. The partnership will give Nielsen data from 55 million devices via smart TVs and set-top boxes. Now, I don't mind being a part of Nielsen. That's fine. You know, when you watch Hulu or Amazon or any one of these, when you watch YouTube TV even, you are foregoing, like you basically in the terms of service are saying, hey, it's okay if somebody measures what I watch. The problem is, I just don't want what happens on the internet to happen when I'm watching TV. It just doesn't seem right to me. Anyway, that was an interesting thing. I might do a news time episode on this so I can dig a little deeper, but I don't have the time now. Last but not least, this also comes from Wall Street Journal, written by Benjamin Mullen and Keech Higgy. Buzzfeed is going to acquire Huffington Post in stock deal with Verizon Media. So, Buzzfeed, new media. Huffington Post, also new media, started in 2006, I believe, when I was reading this. Doesn't matter. Anyway, BuzzFeed's going to purchase Huffington Post, which has been not doing well. And in turn, Verizon is going to get some stock from BuzzFeed, which is truly a smart deal because BuzzFeed is everywhere on the internet. So that's good. John Peretti, BuzzFeed's founder and chief executive, will run the combined company. And BuzzFeed will lead the search for a new editor-in-chief at Huffington Post. This is a great deal for BuzzFeed, I believe, because Huffington Post, that's going to give them, as sensationalistic as I think Huffington Post is, with their headlines especially. I do find that this is going to help solidify BuzzFeed in a more serious context, and that is something that they sorely need, especially when they have serious reporting, when they have good features that are under the BuzzFeed banner. They have good features on sexual assault, Harvey Weinstein story or something like that. The cat woke up, and this is good. This is a really good purchase for them, and with Verizon able to get that stock money back, baby. That's just a whole nother ballgame. Mr. Peretti said BuzzFeed executives will undertake a review of HuffPost's, because remember Ariana Huffington left, business before making any significant moves such as cutting staff or hiring additional employees. In a note to employees, Mr. Peretti said HuffPost attracts readers from wealthier demographics, which is true. Last year, Vice Media acquired Refinery 29, Vox Media acquired New York Media, and Group 9 Media, Inc. Acquired Pop Sugar. So everybody is combining, becoming one giant conglomerate. In 20 years, everybody will be the same thing. Everybody will be under the New York Wall Street Journal Times Post. Okay, listen, that's it. I got to go. If you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see other things like interviews with Spanish Aki Presents. Seriously, hands down, my favorite interview of the year, because it was 5 brown people, including myself, just talking about what pisses us off in the industry, about what white people do in the industry. And it's good, so check it out. It'll be up next week. I promise, on Monday at the earliest, on Tuesday at the latest. Definitely check it out. She is just sauntering over here, this stupid cat. She looked over at me like, what are you doing in my house? Hi, Nova. All right. And come here. She's yawning. She's very tired. And so, yeah, it'll be up video and audio form on this feed, video form on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. We can see a video version of this show, as well as News Time, our premiere show, which I take one story every week and I dissect it. This week, of course, was about Apple TV Plus. It's been a year, and a pretty good year for them too. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff at C Plus Comedy. Just look us up. Me at Chad Black White. Rate, review this show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Tell your friends about it. I gotta go. Goodbye. You know what's funny? I played the wrong thing. I'm gonna say goodbye again right now. Here we go. Goodbye.